Welcome to this edition of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. This is where we pick the brains of high achievers from all walks of life and get their hard-earned, real-world insights on winning. I'm your host, Larry Weidel.
I've always loved math and statistics and numbers. Like I tell people, I always have math and numbers running around my head. And I kind of, taking you back to my origin story of my very first business. I was 10 years old. I asked my parents for $200 for a boom box. And they said, nope, go find a way to make your own money. We're not going to give you $200, get out of here. And they're like, the only money you get from us is $4 a week to cut the grass. And I'm like, hey, okay, I make $4 a week cutting grass. If I could go make, that 10 more times in a week, that's a great deal. So I asked if I could use their lawnmower. I went and proceeded to knock on neighbors' doors and, charge anywhere from $10 to $15 to mow grass for the neighbors. And I landed a few accounts. So just in my mind, as I'm doing that, I'm thinking, okay, if I do this many lawns, I knock on this many doors, I'll earn this much money. And then I'll have my end goal, my boom box, right? In 3.5 weeks or whatever it is. So I had a little notepad of how many doors I knocked on, how many accounts I landed. And that's how that process worked for me. That whole ROI, the whole process of determining that, seeing what worked, has something I've always really naturally enjoyed it. And I didn't know at 10 years old that like this is a fundamental thing you should track in business. It's just kind of how my brain was wired.
It is amazing how many people that turn into entrepreneurs started when they were kids they had an experience like that. When I was 8 years old, I don't know why. I have no idea how any of this was like surreal, but I saw in TV Guide an ad that you could sell TV guides. Now, this is back in the 1820s, because I'm ancient.
Yes.
But for the 15 cents for a TV guide. And, that was how you found out what was on TV. There was nothing else. There was no cable or no internet. And there's none of these guides that are on TV now. So you had to go to TV Guide. And somehow I built up a route in our neighborhood of 50 houses that I'd collect the 15 cents, give them their thing. I'd keep 4 cents and I'd send a check to the company for 11 cents times 50. And I was an entrepreneur. And that, when you're young and that gets in your system, it never leaves,
Yeah.
I wish someone had come along and told me about the lawn thing, because I could have made a whole lot more money, cutting grass.
Yeah, the lawns was great. And then that turned into shoveling snow and then, peddling candy bars out of the middle school locker. So no, it was always a fun endeavor. Like business was something for me that I really found, identity and purpose and acceptance in. I mean, I wasn't the sports kid, the jock, I had big buck teeth and some headgear. Got bullied and beat up a lot growing up. So, I mean, business was just kind of my outlet and my escape. And I've just totally leaned into it.
So what got your attention as what captured your imagination, and when did you get started in business?
Yeah. So, I mean, the story I just shared, that being 10 and mowing lawns, I mean, that was like, hey, here, I want a boom box. I've got some resources to go and mow lawns and count money and make my money. So I was always doing a little bit of that while I was going through, school, middle school, high school. But, I'd say what my first, official business was when I was in college. So from 1999 to 2003, I was at Colorado State University here in Fort Collins, and I got approached by a national college painting company. So basically, they offer students an opportunity, an internship with them to learn all about the painting industry. So it was a very sales and marketing focused and driven organization. So that kind of brought me back to my roots. I'm 18, 19, getting back to that. So I made I made 6 figures over 4 years in college painting houses. And I just share that number because I managed to spend like twice what I made, graduate Colorado State, And, I wasn't going to stay in painting. It's a
Right.
dirty
Yeah.
business, hard work. You're sweating in the summer. It's seasonal. Like, here's all the reasons I didn't like it. And I actually was a bad painter. So I jumped into the mortgage business back in, 2003, 4, 5. And, if you remember those days, everybody was in it. Everybody was able to make, some good amounts of money. But I ended up working for a very conservative bank that we didn't get along. I had to wear a suit and tie to the office every day and meet these quotas and make these calls. And, I was planning my escape from the bank. And literally one day, the bank president, the mortgage division, calls me in and fires me. Can we curse on the show if it's quoting?
I think you probably will, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he said, "Put all your shit in a box." He literally, I had not even met the guy yet. It was the new incoming president. He's like, "Matt, I'm so and so. Put your shit in a box. You're fired." And I'm standing there in shock, and went and grabbed everything and literally stepped out. So you asked about when it really clicked for me. I mean, my first official business is, it's March 2005. I'm 22, 23 years old, recently married, lots of debt. Have these dreams to go conquer something in the business world, not really knowing yet. And all I knew how to do was paint houses. So I literally grabbed my stuff, stepped into the parking lot, and I, made a couple of vows. I'm like, hey, I'm never going to work for somebody again. I pulled off the tie. I'm like, I'm never wearing a tie to work. I'm just going to be me. I'm a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy. And I'm going to go give this painting thing a run. And that's when our, M&D painting, our painting company, launched. And then really never looked back. But I remembered those lessons from being 9 years old. I'm like, hey, I can knock on this many doors at this time. And I know how to do the proposals and the estimates, and just got right back into that space very quickly because I was forced to. My daughter, she just turned 11. She'll be 12 here in a couple of months. And right when she turned 11, all of her friends in school, 5th grade, they're getting cell phones. She goes, Dad, I want a cell phone. And I've told my son, who's a little bit older, the same thing. A few years prior, I said, yeah, those are $1,000. And they both said to me, well, you have $1,000. I said, yeah, I do. You don't. You can go figure out a way to make that money. And it was really interesting. I don't ever want to push business on my kids. I did the little cash flow, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. I said, hey, you go work for somebody, work for yourself, start a business, go invest. And my son, he decided to come work hourly at our company, just doing things around the office. He worked his butt off for an entire summer, made that money. My daughter, she's wired a little bit differently. She goes, well, could I do a business? I go, sure, you can start a business. What do you like to do? Well, I love to bake cookies. So she started a little cookie baking business, and then found a way. We really worked a little marketing plan. She sent these cute little emails to people and tracked the return. And, about that same time period that my son had spent, she made her $1,000. And, now they both have their cell phones, but they earned them. There's a value that they see there. And there was a real proudness, that they had, that they earned that in their own way that they loved.
And what you've done there is you struck the fire of internal motivation. There's a carrot stick motivation that will allow you to get through life just because you have to do certain things. And, do this, you get an award. That's all external. But the greatness comes from internal motivation. When you're following your gut and things that get you excited and that you want to do, because those are the people that do the extras. And what you were talking about there is lighting that fire of internal motivation. Like, I can accomplish things, and also the thing about the idea of education, we're trying to get people, the kids to grow up and have some confidence and be able to think in their feet, stand in their feet, know how to solve problems, and it's not the lack of education, it's the lack of critical thinking, be able to, problem solving and all. But if they don't have the motivation, they're just sitting in there playing video games all the time. Where's that? What's that going to lead to? And so hopefully a career as a professional athlete, because they've got plenty of time to play video games when they're not traveling or actually on the field. So anyway, the other thing that I like to point out is you took advantage of an opportunity to get some real world skills from that painting opportunity, because a lot of things come along and we don't take advantage of them. Why did you go? into roofing, and what did you really want to tell me about the roofing business we were talking about?
Oh yeah, I'll share a fun story. So, in the painting industry, so northern Colorado, we get hit with a lot of hailstorms. So 2008, Windsor had a really big tornado that came through, and then we ended up, doing a lot of painting. But we were painting for these bigger contractors that came in, roof contractors and general contractors. So that was our first exposure into, working with insurance claims and just seeing the potential of business that was there. So, over the years, we were just a little scared to go up that high, to go up on the roofs and have to deal with that. We didn't understand a lot of the labor side. Yeah, but we finally in 2020, we made the jump. We said, hey, we're gonna jump in and we're gonna learn the business. We connected with a really great crew. They've done this for decades. And so the roofing side is relatively new, but I'll share kind of a fun story. So when there's a hailstorm here, and it's usually every couple of years, you'll get a really big hailstorm. These roofers, they flock from all over, from Denver, the other big Colorado cities, Colorado Springs. They come in from Texas. They come in from everywhere. And literally 7 a.m. the morning after the storm, these guys just pounding on people's doors, in residential neighborhoods. And it's high pressure. They're lying. I mean, everything. So that's where that initial, on the initial bell curve, there's a good chunk of money right there. So we go out and that's just like, we knock on doors, right? But we have a totally different approach. But we go out this next day, it's 2 p.m. and they'd already had 30 people knock on their door. So we're knocking on doors and just, I'm getting very frustrated and disheartened because I'm knocking on a door and some guy that looks like he just got out of prison, he's standing, 2 feet behind me, getting ready to knock on the door. And this homeowner is just wide-eyed, like, holy cow, what's going on? So I came back to the office and I'm like, guys, we got to do something different. What is everybody doing? They're knocking on doors. And we said, what if we're the roofer that doesn't knock on doors? We kind of thought about that. And I love Spanish coffee, right? So I bring back coffee from Spain. We have a little coffee bar at our office. And I said, hey, what if we knock on doors and we offer people these Spanish coffee kits, right? Because we sell them online and everything. And one of my team members, they go even one step further. They're like, well, why don't we just reach out to a local coffee shop and see if we can go there every Friday morning and for 2 hours just pay for everybody's coffee that comes in. So we have this light bulb moment. So check this out, like 20, 30 roofers knocking on the door, and these homeowners, they're just flying the middle finger, get off my doorstep, like, leave me alone, leave me alone. So then we come out, we made these little postcards, knocked on the door. Hey, I'm Matt. I'm with M&D Roofing, but not here to talk to you about your roof. And they kind of looked at me, right? So like, that's my hook. They go, what do you mean? So I just wanted to invite you to free coffee. We're buying coffee for all the neighbors over at the, Ziggy's 8 to 10 a.m. And they kind of look at me and they're like, what? I said, yeah, come on over, get some coffee. And then I take off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to climb on your roof. I don't need your insurance papers, any of that. And they're like, well, can you look at my roof? So all of a sudden, just this, this little shift, we landed close to, I think we last checked about $400,000 worth of work over, let's see, we spent 8 weeks and probably $10,000 on coffee at a local coffee shop. So we're giving money to the local business community. We're meeting with people, and we literally would just sit at the coffee shop and, hey, have a nice day, enjoy your coffee. Of course, we want business, right? Like we're in business to feed our family, but we're not sitting here just pounding their door with the same BS that all these other guys are doing. And was really refreshing. I mean, it was fun for us. We really enjoyed it. And again, $10,000 lands us $400,000.
Talk about the experience of coming through that. Writing the book, and it doesn't sell itself, because there are a lot of people that have made it through writing the book and then they're shocked that it doesn't sell itself. So I've got friends all the time writing books, and then they're like you, like I'm sure you've got friends the same thing. They see you write a book and they say, well, okay, I've wanted to write a book. Okay, now I'll do it. But then they're surprised. And not all the marketing works, but you've got to do marketing, and a lot of it's to find out what works and what doesn't work. But what have you found out about marketing a book?
What I found out is, I'll kind of even back up one step. Is it's like, well, why are you writing the book? I meet so many, business owners, and they They did a self-published paperback. They wrote it,
Right.
proofread it once. And it's like their business card, right? So it's like, they're an author. They're an author technically on paper, but it's like, are you an author? Like where
Right.
you are going out and you have a message to share and you're really passionate about it. So, I mean, I didn't know that when I wrote the book. I just thought people are going to be like, oh, Matt, yeah, buy his book. But it's just like anything, with painting. I was knocking on doors. I knocked on this many doors. I did this many proposals. It's like, what is the method you're going to use to sell that book? And there's so many ways you can do it. I'm going to go on a podcast. There'll definitely be listeners that purchase your book. I bumped into a guy in Las Vegas, kind of a crazy story. It's I'm an early riser. I'm in Las Vegas at 5 a.m, waking up to start my day. A lot of people are wrapping up their evening. There's this really cool gentleman. He sits there. He goes there 4 a.m. every morning, and he has a little sign. He's a realtor, and he has a book. So he's got his realtor sign and his book. And people walk in and he sells, 2 or 3 books a day, right? So you do that every day. That's 1,000 books a year. Like that's his method. He's committed to that. He's passionate about the message that he's sharing. So there needs to be a bigger reason behind it, because it's a huge time investment. It's a huge financial investment, whether you're directly paying for these services to put the book together. You're also stepping away from whatever your earning potential is.
Right.
And you've got to be committed, and you've got to look at it through a 10-year window,
Right.
But again, your method is your method.
Yeah. And so talk about now what you've learned by speaking to other groups, and basically, are you continuing to learn? That's what, how motivated are you compared to when you got started, as you've gone, your 5, 10, 15, 20-year stages along the journey being an entrepreneur. Has it been worth it? Can you imagine yourself doing anything else? How's your life? What kind of life have you been able to build for yourself?
Yeah, so a lot of questions there. I am definitely still motivated. I'd say more motivated. In 2005, I'm fired. I need to make $2,800 in 28 days. And I know how to go do it knocking on doors. So back then, hey, I'm Matt, I want your money. Like, I'm not talking about purpose, vision, pouring into people, leadership, being vulnerable. I'm like, give me your money. Like it was, cog in a wheel, make the numbers work. And now, like, you have kids. Whoa, I'm responsible for teaching them lessons about life. And I have kids. Now I'm really seeing, some past, say, traumas or things that I went through in my childhood that I'm like seeing pass over to my kids. Well, I've got to deal with that. I've got to go on this journey of self-discovery and finding out that I can be a better person, and business is a vehicle to help me do that. So my motivation is it's stronger than it was, and it's for different reasons. But gosh, I could not imagine ever working for anybody ever again. After getting a taste of business, something I love, something I'm great at, and it's something that others need. And I really view everything as like, how do you go out and help people every day? How do you make their lives better? We own 6 companies technically here, and everyone's a little different. We have a jiu-jitsu academy. We sell an online drywall repair tool, and in different ways, we get to help people make their life better. That's the consistent theme.
Thanks for listening to the Million Dollar Mastermind. If you felt there were any valuable takeaways from this episode, please take a minute and leave us a 5-star review. Your feedback is important and really helps us get the word out to a wider audience. Remember, we have a valuable webinar that is absolutely free. Register for it right now at weidelonwinning.com. Thanks for listening.